You hold your thumb 2 inches above the glass screen of your phone. The screen is dark. It is 10:47 on a Tuesday night, and the last message in the thread is yours, sent at 6:32. It reads, "Hey, how was your day? Hope work wasn't too crazy." There is no blue dot. There is no typing indicator. Just those 12 words hanging in the black mirror of your phone, sitting on your wooden coffee table next to a half-empty mug of herbal tea. You pick up the mug. The tea has gone entirely cold. You tell yourself she had a long shift. You tell yourself her battery probably died. You tell yourself the same 3 excuses you have used every single Tuesday for the last 6 months. Then you open your white top spiral notepad on the kitchen counter. You draw a thin line down the middle of a blank page. On the left side, you write down every time you initiated a plan, brought up a difficult conversation, or sent the opening text over the past 2 weeks. On the right side, you leave space for her name. The left side of the page is full. The right side has 2 entries. One is a forwarded video of a dog riding a skateboard. The other is a 2-word reply. Sounds good. You tap your blue click pen against the paper. 1 click, 2 clicks, 3 clicks. You decide to run an experiment. You're not going to start a fight. You are not going to send a long, emotional paragraph explaining how heavy your chest feels every time you stare at an unanswered notification. You are simply going to stop. 30 days. For 30 days, you will not text first. You will not ask if she wants to get dinner on Friday. You will not smooth over the awkward pauses during car rides. You will not pull her weight and yours at the exact same time. You lock your phone, turn it face down on the bedside table, and pull the gray hoodie over your head. The first 48 hours feel like holding your breath underwater. By Thursday night, your thumb moves toward the messaging app out of sheer muscle memory 6 different times. Every time you catch yourself, slide the phone back into the pocket of your olive green field jacket and walk through the grocery store aisles buying ingredients for a meal for one. By Friday at 8 in the evening, the apartment is dead quiet. You sit on the edge of your couch, staring at the floorboards. You are waiting for the vibration. You are waiting for the notification light to blink blue. You are waiting for proof that the foundation you built together exists without you constantly holding up the ceiling. Then, at 9:12, the screen finally lights up. You pick up the phone before the screen even dims. "Hey, sorry, super busy week. Are we doing dinner tonight or what?" No question about how your week went. No acknowledgement of the 3 days of absolute radio silence. Just an assumption that the calendar you always organize, the restaurant you always choose, and the driving you always do are waiting for her on command. You sit there in your dark living room, the green glow of your microwave clock reading 9:14. You reply, "Up to you. What are you in the mood for?" 10 minutes pass, then 15. Finally, her response comes back. "IDK, whatever you want." And right there, sitting on the edge of your bed, you realize what you have actually built over the past 2 years. It is a psychological condition called relationship life support. Relationship life support happens when a partnership ceases to exist on its own natural momentum. It is no longer a living, breathing, two-way street. Instead, it becomes an artificial structure kept artificially alive by one person's continuous, exhausting effort. You are the machine pumping oxygen into the room. You are the one monitoring the pulse, checking the vital signs, and performing emotional CPR every time a quiet distance begins to settle between you. The dangerous thing about relationship life support is that it mimics a healthy relationship almost perfectly, as long as you keep working. As long as you keep making the reservations, bringing up the weekend plans, asking how her mother is doing, and apologizing for tensions you did not cause, the system functions. It looks stable from the outside. Your friends think you are a solid couple. Her parents think you are reliable. Even you fall for the illusion because the machinery is running. But you forget one simple law of physics. Machines require power, and you are running entirely on your own reserves. On Saturday night, you go to a quiet neighborhood diner. You sit across from her in a vinyl booth under dim yellow lighting. You decide not to bridge the gaps. When she finishes talking about her coworker's drama and drops her fork onto the plate, you do not immediately offer a fresh topic. You do not ask a follow-up question. You simply take a sip of your water and let the silence sit on the table between you like an uninvited guest. 3 seconds pass. then 7, then 12. She picks up her glass, checks her watch, and shifts in her seat. She looks at the neon sign in the window. She looks at the family 2 tables over. She looks anywhere except into your eyes. "You're quiet tonight," she says, wiping her napkin across her lips. "Just listening," you say softly. She nods, locks her phone screen, and sets it face down. She doesn't ask what you were thinking. She doesn't ask how your project at work went. She simply waits for you to fix the mood, because for 24 months, fixing the mood has been your job description. By day 14, the silence stops feeling like an experiment and starts feeling like an autopsy. You spend your Saturday afternoon sitting on the porch steps wearing your olive green field jacket, watching dried leaves tumble down the driveway. Your tan baseball cap is pulled low over your eyes. In your right hand, you hold your top spiral notepad. The pages are full of small, undeniable receipts. On day 8, you sent 0 messages. She sent 0 messages. On day 11, she sent a link to a sweater she wanted, followed 3 hours later by a brief text asking if you could pick up her dry cleaning because her day was packed. You picked up the dry cleaning, you left it on her kitchen counter with a short note wishing her good luck on her presentation. She texted, "Thanks so much," at 11 p.m., accompanied by a single heart emoji. There was no follow-up the next morning, no text asking if you made it home safely, no check-in to see how your own Thursday went. You flip back to a page from 8 months ago. You find an entry from a weekend getaway you planned for her birthday. You paid for the cabin. You drove 3 hours in the rain. You bought the wine she liked. You remember sitting on the balcony that night, looking at her profile in the dark, feeling a strange, hollow ache in your stomach. At the time, you thought you were just tired from the work week. Now, looking at the ink on the page, you see the truth clearly. You weren't tired from work. You were tired from carrying the weight of 2 people's devotion on one person's shoulders. The invisible cost of being the sole anchor in a relationship is not that you get your heart broken in a single dramatic moment. It is that your identity slowly erodes over time. You stop having preferences because accommodating theirs is the only way to avoid tension. You stop sharing your own worries because their emotional capacity is always full. You become a caretaker disguised as a partner. You become the background music to someone else's life, convinced that if you just play softly enough, they will eventually turn around and truly listen. At 6:45 that evening, your phone buzzes against the wooden arm of the porch chair. It is a group chat notification. Your mutual friends are organizing a Sunday brunch downtown. Someone drops a poll asking who is available. Within 2 minutes, her name pops up in the chat. "Joe and I are in." You stare at those 6 words on your screen. She didn't text you first. She didn't ask if you had plans. She didn't check if you were even free. She simply assumed your presence because for 2 years, your availability has been guaranteed. You type 3 words into the group chat, delete them, and put your blue click pen back into your jacket pocket. You do not go to the Sunday brunch. Instead, you reply directly to the group chat at 9 in the morning. "Can't make it today, guys? Have fun." Your phone remains silent for 22 minutes. Then, her name appears across the screen. Not a call, a text. "Where are you? Everyone is already here. Is everything okay?" You sit at your kitchen table with a mug of reheated coffee. You look at the dark ring left on the wood by the hot ceramic. You type back, "Just needed a quiet morning. I told the group I wasn't coming." 3 minutes pass. You always come. It's weird that you're not here. Everyone's asking. Notice the phrasing. Not, "I miss you." Not, "I was looking forward to seeing you." But it's weird. Everyone's asking. The problem is not your absence. The problem is the disruption of the expected script. You missed your cue, and now the performance looks incomplete to the audience. That afternoon, she comes over to your apartment. She leaves her keys on the entry table with a sharp clatter and walks straight into the living room. She wears her light denim jacket and the silver necklace you bought her for your anniversary last year. "Are you upset with me?" she asks, crossing her arms. This is the classic fork in the road of every decaying dynamic. This is where you would normally offer the easy exit. You would normally say, "No, of course not, just tired," and then spend the next 48 hours overcompensating to prove everything is fine. You would take her out to dinner, plan a weekend trip, or crack jokes until the atmospheric pressure in the room returned to normal. Instead, you sit on the sofa and look at her. "No," you say quietly. "I'm not upset." "Then why have you been acting so distant for the last 3 weeks?" she asks. Her voice is defensive, spiked with the subtle frustration of someone who feels a shift in the air, but refuses to examine why the weather changed. "You barely text. You don't ask about my week. I feel like I'm doing all the heavy lifting here." The sentence sits in the air between you like a physical weight. You almost laugh, but the sound catches in your throat. It is an extraordinary human phenomenon. When you stop carrying someone, they often complain about the weight of standing on their own 2 feet. Because they have grown so accustomed to your constant effort, your sudden neutrality feels like neglect. Your return to normal feels like an attack. "I haven't been distant," you say, your voice remarkably steady. "I just stopped starting every conversation." She blinks. Her arms drop slightly. For 5 full seconds, the living room is completely still. "That's not fair," she says, her voice dropping into a tense whisper. "Relationships aren't a counting firm, Joe. You don't keep score." "I'm not keeping score," you say softly. "I just stopped running the store by myself." She steps back, her eyes narrowing as she processes what you said. She reaches into her purse, pulls out her phone, and scrolls through her history. She is looking for evidence to prove you wrong. She wants to find this string of messages, the middle of the night calls, or the spontaneous dates she initiated to throw back in your face and balance the ledger. She scrolls for 30 seconds, then 45 seconds. Her thumb slows down. The motion becomes hesitant. She flips past weeks of green bubbles. Your message is punctuated by brief, single-line replies from her. She scrolls past Friday nights, where you asked what she wanted for dinner, Sunday mornings, where you asked how her mother's physical therapy went, and Tuesday afternoons, where you sent small check-ins just to hear her voice. The evidence isn't hidden in what she finds. It's hidden in the blank spaces between her words. She sits down in the armchair opposite you. She places her phone face down on the glass side table. The silence between you is no longer tense or angry. It is hollow. It is the cold, quiet clarity of a room after the furniture has been cleared out. "I've been tired," she says softly, looking down at her hands. Her tone has shifted from defensive to vulnerable, but it is a passive kind of vulnerability. "Work has been overwhelming. My family situation, you know how it is. I just haven't had the bandwidth to give anyone extra energy." "I know," you say, "and I understood that for 6 months. But bandwidth isn't something you run out of forever. It's something you choose to allocate." You look at her denim jacket, the silver necklace resting against her collarbone, and the way her hair falls over her shoulder. You remember the night you gave her that necklace at a small Italian restaurant down by the harbor. You remember thinking that night that as long as you loved her enough, as long as you were attentive enough, as long as you were patient enough, the balance would eventually restore itself. You didn't realize that by absorbing all the effort, you had robbed her of the necessity to choose you. You had turned yourself into background utility, like electricity or running water, something that is only missed when the tap runs dry. "So what are you saying?" she asks, her voice barely audible. "Are you saying you're done?" You don't answer right away. You stand up, walk over to the kitchen counter, and pick up your blue click pen. You slide it into the pocket of your olive green field jacket next to your top spiral notepad. "I'm saying I can't keep holding up a bridge from one side," you say, looking out the window at the twilight settling over the street. "I spent 30 days waiting to see if you would cross it. You didn't even notice I had stepped back until you realized you had to walk alone." She looks at you for a long moment. She doesn't yell. She doesn't cry. She doesn't make a grand speech promising to change because deep down, both of you know the truth. The relationship didn't break today. It simply stopped moving months ago, and you were the only one pushing the pedals. She stands up, picks her keys off the entry table, and opens the front door. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "I know," you reply. "So am I." The door closes with a soft click. The lock engages. The apartment is quiet again. But it is a different kind of quiet than the heavy, expectant silence of the last 30 days. This silence doesn't carry the weight of waiting for a phone to ring. It doesn't carry the anxiety of measuring your worth by someone else's response time. It is just space. Empty, clear, unburdened space. You sit down at your kitchen table. You open the white notepad to the page with the line down the center. You look at the left column, packed with your endless effort, and the right column, bare and almost forgotten. You take the blue click pen, you draw a quiet line right through the middle of the page. Then you close the notebook. The biggest cost in life rarely arrives as a sudden, catastrophic bill. It accumulates quietly while you are busy accommodating someone else's indifference. It is the steady, unnoticed leak of your time, your energy, and your dignity spent trying to preserve something that only ever existed in your own dedication. Sometimes walking away isn't an act of anger. It is simply the moment you realize that letting go doesn't mean destroying the relationship. It just means accepting that it was already gone. You stand up, turn off the kitchen light, and walk into the living room. For the first time in 30 days, you leave your phone sitting on the counter face down.